Glasgow. The crowd is still filtering in here. It's a blustery autumnal afternoon, and Glasgow Warriors are up against some old foes. They played Ulster in Belfast just 7 days ago on the back end of a very heavy defeat, as Ulster came out on top, winning by 50 points to 19. When these sides last met here at Scotstoun back in May in the Pro 14 semi-final, it was a very similar scoreline, with Glasgow bossing that occasion, winning by 50 points to 20. This, as you can see, is a famous grouse pre-season challenge between these sides, and I'm delighted to say alongside me is the recovering Glasgow Warriors winger Lee Jones. Lee, you picked up an injury in pre-season. You're recovering well from your torn hamstring. How do you see this one going today? A fascinating encounter.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously going back to back with fixtures is always interesting. There's a lot of analysis done from the first match into this one. And from a Glasgow point of view, a wee bit disappointing last week. There's definitely a game of two halves. We've been working a lot defensively during the week. I think both sides have announced a more experienced start lineup, especially this week, so it should add a different dynamic to the game this week. But we'll be looking from a Glasgow point of view for a stronger performance.
Yeah, there's 9 changes in the Glasgow sides, and within the squad of 30, 12 players did not feature last week. Let's have a look then at the sides. There's the Glasgow side for, first of all, Nick Frisbee and Brandon Thompson, the halfbacks. They've got the excitement of Stafford, McDowell at 12 and 13. Ollie Keeble, Johnny Matthews and Darcy Ray starting that front row. Andrew Davidson and Tim Swinson in the second row. International experience there with Rob Harley, Chris Passaro and Adam Ash in the back row. We mentioned Frisbee and Brandon Thompson, the half-back pairing. The excitement of the wingers of Hughes and Kyle Steyn, McDowell and Jones in the centres, with Glenn Bryce once again at full-back. The Ulster side similarly, some changes there. Eric O'Sullivan, the ex-Leinster age grade player, starting at loose head, with Marty Moore as the tight head. Rob Herring in between the two. Kieran Treadwell and Sam Carter are in the second row, with Martin Ray, Sean Reedy and Nick Tomani in the back row. John Cooney and Billy Burns. Burns captaining the side this afternoon there. Plenty of experience there in the half-backs. Rob Little and Craig Gilroy, the returning Craig Gilroy, out of competitive action for 11 months, and he's in position, having scored 2 tries last weekend. He's on the right wing. McCluskey and Ferris are the 2 centres, with Will Adamson as the starting Ulster rugby fullback. Of course, we've got replacements this afternoon, and a healthy squad of them as well. John Andrew, Kyle McCall, John McGrath, Tom O'Toole, Alan O'Connor, Jordy Murphy, Greg Jones, David Shanahan, Bill Johnston, James Hume, Angus Curtis, Angus Kernahan and Michael Lowry, all in the replacements bench for the visitors Ulster. For Glasgow Warriors, they have Grant Stewart, of course, who came off the bench against Georgia just a week ago. He's alongside Alex Allen, Adam Nicol, Kieran MacDonald, Bruce Flockart, Sean Kennedy, Paddy Kelly and Rory Jackson, and there'll be some unnumbered backlist replacements there, so numberless replacements I should say. Callum Gibbons, Matt Fagerson, Jamie Dobie, Charlie Capps, Nick Grigg, Ratu Tagiv and Gavin Lowe. And Gavin Lowe and Charlie Capps, if they do come off the bench, will be making their debuts for the Warriors today. It's a nice picture setting there on the screen, as you can see the crowd. 1 or 2 empty seats, but seats filling up quite nicely as we're just a few minutes away from kick-off. Kick-off is at 2:30. And Lee, when you're watching on a pre-season game like this, you know the atmosphere here is going to be great during the competitive season. But the Warriors players very much up for this. Many of them, of course, looking to stake a claim with a number of players away in World Cup duty.
Yeah, it's always an interesting dynamic when you throw in a World Cup. Obviously, we've got a lot of players away with Scotland, which is great. And I think where we've been strong in the past across the league is when the international guys are away. The guys that have taken their place have performed really strongly. So this is an opportunity for a lot of guys to get a good run into the start of the season. and especially with these pre-season matches, chance to get some competition into the legs before the season really kicks off in a couple of weeks.
Of course, you're referring there to the start of the season. 2 weeks' time, the Warriors are down in South Africa. They take on the Cheetahs in their opening game of the Pro 14 series. Their opening home game, incidentally, is on the 4th of October, 7:35 kick-off against the Scarlets. Ulster, of course, they play their opening match on Friday the 27th of September. They play Ospreys. Well, Ulster scored 8 tries last weekend. They're led onto the field this afternoon by their captain, Billy Burns, all in white. There they are, coming out of the changing rooms here at Scotstoun. And in a few minutes, the home crowd, mostly the members of the crowd, obviously cheering on Glasgow Warriors, but a fairly healthy contingent over from Belfast to see if Ulster can do a pre-season double over the Warriors. And there is an example of what these Glasgow players will be up against. Rob Herring, 2 full international caps, and just exchanging a handshake there with Matt Ferris, the outside centre. The crowd being G'd up, the sky blue and black flags with the very prominent Warriors image emblazoned on the front. There's an example of them all lined up with the Warriors mascot just at the front of the line to welcome the Warriors players onto the pitch. Approaching 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon, a bit of a chill around Scotstoun, but here they come, Glasgow Warriors, and the dark jerseys with the sky blue around the shoulders, dark blue shorts and socks, marching on with some real purpose, and led on by skipper Chris Pizarro. There he is with the headband on. Lee, I'm sure you were not in the home dressing room immediately before kick-off there, but there'll be some strong words in the dressing room, because these guys will want to prove a point, and this show last week was an 80-minute blip. From Ulster's point of view, it'll be the opposite. They'll want to build on a fantastic win with 8 tries against Glasgow 7 days ago.
Yeah, both sides looking at the game very differently. We've talked a lot as Glasgow during the week about being back at home, back at Scotstoun. It's a chance for these guys to run out in front of a home crowd, and we've really built a fortress over the last couple of years, and you know, we take our home games very, very seriously, and it will be great for the guys to put in a strong performance for the home crowd.
Ben Blaine, our referee, signalling that Glasgow, through Brandon Thompson, can clear it long downfield, just a little bit too long, perhaps an early illustration of how strong the breeze is, so the players come back for a set play on halfway.
Yeah, it's pretty breezy out there, probably, like you say, a strong indication there, but it gives the front 5 a chance to stake a claim in the scrum right at the kick-off.
Inside the first 30 seconds then. And the first illustration of what these players in their respective packs can do. Scotting down there, remember, in the front row for Ulster, they've got Eric O'Sullivan, Rob Herring and Marty Moore. Moore, the tight head, is the shortest of those 3 players at 5'10.5", and he's alongside Ollie Keeble with Johnny Matthews and Darcy Ray in the pack as well. Matthews' inclusion's going to be important, I would imagine, as the ball is rolled in there by the 29-year-old starting scrum half for Ulster, John Cooney. Picked up at the base of the scrup there by Timoni, and we're going to try and work it down that left-hand side. Ferris gets hands on the ball, just carrying it, as you can see, just over the halfway line. Into contact goes Sam Carter. The first start for Carter, incidentally, for Ulster. Quickly shipped through the hands there. Billy Burns, the skipper, just trying to feed the ball back more into centre field, as Ulster are playing in these white jerseys towards the post to our right hand side, carried forward. Good strong work there down that left hand channel, just 5 metres in from touch. Cooney again. Treadwell in the second row alongside Carter, just trying to get an early touch on the ball. Warriors not rolling away. An opportunity for Ulster perhaps just to feed this one a little downfield, and we'll see if they've got any opportunity just to see how strong the wind is, as he's, I think, kicking into maybe the teeth of it at the moment. Placing that kick gently down towards the scoreboard end there, and that's a decent kick as well, Lee, because that forces Warriors very much on their heels. A line out about 7 metres from the Warriors line, and the throw-in going to Ulster.
It's a good result for Ulster there. I thought Glasgow, it was a good scrum, and we've seen in the first few phases good defensive intent, Ulster weren't making ground until the unfortunate penalty, but it puts them in a strong position.
Treadwell wins from the throw in there from Herring. The drive is on, you can see it's tucked under Herring's arm there, he tries to splinter and he's over the line, and Herring scores with 2.5 minutes, just a fraction over 2.5 minutes on the clock, and it's a try there for Rob Herring, twice capped for Ireland, and he gets us off and running this afternoon here at Scotstoun. 5 points to 0, and immediately from that promising Warriors scrum, and they're made to pay with a well-constructed Ulster line out.
Yeah, it just highlights the importance of discipline there. Like I said, it was a defensive set. Great start for Glasgow, but to give away the penalty just gives Ulster the field position. They have a good kick to the touchline and a really effective driving maul. Glasgow will be looking to, they'll be disappointed with that. It's forwards wise, in terms of the maul, for Ulster to go through there so easily, it'll be disappointing. So look forward to the next defensive maul. Glasgow will need to be a lot stronger, and hopefully get a chance to get the ball in their hands.
Cooney then lining up this kick about 7 metres or so from touch, just outside the 22, as you can see from just the markings on the pitch there. Cooney then going through his pre-kick routine, but the ball is in flight. The touch judges just run towards halfway and then get back into position for that restart. So Cooney will be a little bit disappointed from that fairly acute angle there, but just drifted across the front of the post, and it remains 5-0 to Ulster.
It's a really strong wind here. I'm trying to get a feel for it by looking at the flags around Scotstoun. I think they're all blowing in a different direction.
Warriors then trailing by 5 points to 0, and Ulster deep inside their own 22, trying to carry it out of the dangerous position that they were in. Good work there by Kieran Treadwell, good carry, and it's cleared forward downfield. 2 Warriors players back inside their own half of the field at the moment. It's eventually just picked up there, just on the edge of the 22, scampering run. Better from the Warriors, is coming out in off his wing, Kyle Steyn. On now to the back row forwards, Adam Ash looking to take it up towards halfway. Early opportunity there for Frisbee from this attack, just to keep things going, as he picks up once again, just pops it towards that left-hand side. Delicate kick, a little bit too much on it there. You could see Hugh Jones was just trying to continue the attack, but just a little bit too much on that one, and it goes out just short off the halfway line. And Ulster still leading through that. Rob Herring scored just a few minutes ago by 5 points to 0. The Warriors' response was good though, forcing them down inside that 22, and perhaps on another occasion they could really have had Ulster under pressure, but good defensive cover initially from Kieran Treadwell.
It was a good kick-off by Glasgow. Unfortunate turnover, but it gave Glasgow a chance to counter-attack, and I think initially it was very good. Kyle Steyn did well, slipped a couple of tackles. You've seen Glasgow coming back on short side, and that's where Ulster were short. The idea was right from Hugh Jones there. If that had stayed in field, it would have Ulster under pressure. But you can see Glasgow identifying the space there on the short side, and then back to the short side again. So identification of space, good. It's just about that execution. Glasgow want to hold on to the ball just a bit longer. Possession-wise, it's very important to keep a hold of the ball to put teams under pressure.
How was the likes of Johnny Matthews sort of settled in? Because in fact we're just going to, before we ask you that, we're going to get another showing of the score there. Initially won by Treadwell, and as is often the case these days, the hooker in a strong position, ball tucked under his left arm from about 5 metres out, very difficult to stop.
Yeah, I'm remembering back to the game against Ulster at Scotstoun last season, and there were a couple of driving maul tries there. Dan McFarlane as the head coach, obviously previously of Glasgow. It was a really strong area for him, and he gets his teams working well. That game last season, I remember Glasgow scored a couple and Ulster scored a couple, so it was almost even across the board there. And I'm sure Dan, he has a great influence on that. At the moment it's 1-0 Ulster, and in terms of the driving maul, Glasgow will be looking to change that.
Now I think I'm right in saying last season when Johnny Matthews was at Boroughmuir, he was the Premiership's top scorer. He also featured prominently in the Sevens, so he's a big player, but he's deceptively quick.
He's a guy, he's very dynamic on the ball, and that's almost his you know, the part of his game that really stands out is he's an explosive athlete. For a hooker, his fundamentals are good, but top try scorer in a league from the front row is pretty impressive, and I've been impressed with the way he's slotted in so far with Glasgow during the pre-season. It's
his opposite number who's the opening try on the board at the moment, as we once again watch Ulster just making their way up short of that 10-metre line inside the Warriors half of the field. Across to the left hand side, a little spin and turn there by Rob Little, did well to carry it over the 10, recycled through the hands there, couldn't quite gather it there. Sam Carter came off his shoulder, and here come the Warriors again, led by the strong running there of Nick Frisbee into contact. Frisbee again has a little look, brings his fullback Glenn Bryce into play. This is Hugh Jones up and just over the halfway line, is forced to ground there. Warriors once more bringing the forwards into play now, as it's mopped up once again by Nick Frisbee on this right hand side. Again Jones looking dangerous, is able just to offload one-handed, and we're still on that 15 channel looking for the breaker runners coming from a deep line position there. Ollie Cable perhaps just took his eyes off it ever so slightly, knocking the ball forward, and Ulster are able to win possession back once again. Treadwell has done well in the second row alongside Sam Carter in these early stages. Little 1-2 there, and a touch from the try scorer Heron. Comes back now, Cooney taken on there. There's Treadwell, tackled there by his opposite number. There's 3 on this right hand side. It was initially gathered in by Will Adamson, couldn't bring it into the body there, and the Ulster fullback there spilling possession just short of halfway. And after 9 minutes it remains Warriors 0, Ulster 5.
I think what we've seen so far, a few uncharacteristic errors from both sides, a few knock-ons, you know, under pressure, and it's often what we see in these pre-season games. But the team that can settle down quicker and get into the match will really do well. We've seen Glasgow on the counter again using the short side. I think that's something we'll see. As long as Ulster aren't putting defenders there, Glasgow will use it.
Adam Ash there in shot. Big experienced player, internationalist as well, of course. There's Nick Frisbee alongside his opposite number, John Cooney, and both Cooney and Burns slotting over successful kicks last weekend in Ulster's handsome victory over the Warriors, and he's done well there, Cooney, just to prevent Frisbee from offloading, and it comes back just on that Ulster side. They're scrambling, but our match referee just whistles that Ulster had indeed knocked on. So we've another scrummage, really where we started the contest, with a set piece right on halfway, but this is closer to the 15 channel near side and our commentary position side. Lee Jones, your thoughts after 10 minutes?
Again, just a wee bit scrappy, just as we talked about. I thought it was a strong scrum from Glasgow. It was just a bit messy at the base. As you say, a scrum on the 15's probably a better attacking opportunity for Glasgow. You get a second bite of the cherry here. It just makes it a bit more difficult for Ulster to defend. Craig Gilroy on the right hand side here, he's got to respect that space there, and it should give, if Glasgow go open side, it should give us a bit more space to attack.
A bit more blind, but it looks as if Frisbee is just on the corner of that scrum there. The ball is available, just controlled by the feet of Adam Ash, but the referee had already whistled that Ulster were penalised there, and you can see Warriors are quite satisfied with their efforts, and they've got a chance now to play this downfield and get better field position.
Yeah, I think so far, looking at the scrum, Glasgow have been the dominant side, so it was good to get a reward from the referee early on there. Puts us into a good position, pushing on into the 22 now.
The kick downfield by Brandon Thompson in the half-back positions as the fly half, with Nick Frisbee the starting scrum half. And well, we mentioned Matthews. Here's an attacking throw-in for the Warriors. Matthews towards the middle of the line, secured, and Matthews gets it once again. Lovely little offload there, couldn't be taken on cleanly though by Rory Hughes. The intention was good, comes back through Stuart McCluskey, the inside centre, gets again a little bit untidy, picked up there by Rob Little. He's caught in a bear hug by Hugh Jones, and they're just down that left hand side. The referee though is bringing play back towards the edge of the 22. A little bit untidy, but that was a nice little interchange, and the intent was good there from Matthews with Rory Hughes coming in. Had Hughes been able to gather in the ball into his chest, he certainly would have asked questions of that Ulster defence.
Yeah, it's a set play there, and when you've got an athlete like Johnny Matthews coming off the back of them all there, it sits down defenders, and as you could probably see, there was a space inside for the winger there. Glasgow just need to tighten up their execution to make the most of that.
Famous Grouse Challenge match here at Scotstoun. As we mentioned, there's a bit of a breeze around the stadium this afternoon. It's not completely full, but a healthy crowd for a pre-season encounter between two sides that know each other so well, given that played last weekend. And of course, the last competitive game played at Scotstoun at the end of last season was the playoff semi-final. Another scrummage, this time a bit stationary. Cooney's able to ship it out towards this left-hand side. Little's in support, receives the pass there from Adamson. Little with a delicate kick again, right-footed. That's just going to trundle into touch across on that far side. The throw-in's going to be inside the 22, but again, good link-up play there from Adamson at full-back and Little, the left winger.
It's a good set play by Ulster. I've been impressed by Rob Little so far. The couple of occasions he's had ball, he's looked dangerous. He's not had a lot of space, but he's the sort of guy, he's going to spin in the tackle, he's going to be hard to put down. And he got a wee bit of space there. The kick ahead was probably the right option from him, and it forces Glasgow to exit.
Matthews then again looking for Swinson in that line, the second row forward alongside Andrew Davidson. Well, that's a solid challenge coming in there as the Warriors are looking to try and exit their 22 at the moment. Ulster leading by 5 points to 0 if you're just joining our live coverage here from Scotstoun. Rob Herring, the try scorer. Only points on the board coming inside the first 5 minutes. Good strength shown there by Rory Hughes down the left-hand side. Frisbee again picks up, tries to bring Ash into play. Quick offload there, and the Warriors again through Frisbee are trying to get it centre field. That pass doesn't find anybody. Eventually is picked up inside that 22. Up with play there was Eric O'Sullivan in that red scrum cap, the loose head prop, trying to block that challenge. Nice little dink kick from inside the 22, perhaps provides an opportunity there for the Warriors to go again. Leading the line was Hugh Jones, but Ulster win it once more. Herring, the try scorer, is tackled there by his opposite number Matthews. It's picked up there by Cooney on this left hand side. He's up towards the edge of the 22, as you can see in our picture. And the Warriors again looking to try and disrupt this Ulster attack here, but give away the latest penalty in this match now. Approaching a quarter of an hour on the clock, just in the corner of your screen. It's been an itty-bitty start, Lee, from a Warriors point of view, and Ulster again just having the upper hand with a kick to the corner, an attacking position for them inside the Glasgow 22.
Yeah, just both teams kind of struggling to settle in. Glasgow are trying to shift the target, you see there, but Ulster are bringing real line speed and defence even high up the field. And it's putting us under pressure. We've identified a bit of space there with Brandon in behind, but it's always difficult to regather those chip kicks unless there's acres of space. Herring
again from a similar position to when he scored the try just a little bit earlier on in the half. Again, he's just trying to drive Warriors backwards. Now they go sideways. Staying upright there is Tim Swinson, but it comes back towards Cooney. Cooney then taking the ball in towards that 15 channel, 5 metres from the Glasgow line. Herring is a willing ball carrier. Cooney just in behind him. Their number one is Eric O'Sullivan, and O'Sullivan is forced backwards by some good solid Warriors defensive play. Still they're 5-6 metres short of the line, taken on there by Treadwell. Couldn't go anywhere quickly, but is able to maintain possession in the attack from the Ulster point of view. Coming in is the twice capped Sean Reedy in the back row for Ulster. Little pop pass in again. Sam Carter trying to support. 3 metres short of the line. Again looking at his options there is John Cooney, just delaying the pick-up. There's the little pod of 2, then becomes 3 forming. Cooney again on towards his skipper Burns. Now the little offload there as the fullback Adamson tries to find Gilroy. Gilroy scoring twice and deflects it here. Frisbee thought he was away. The referee this afternoon, Ben Blaine, had other ideas. Some boos around Scotstoun, but that was a half an opportunity for them to break, but a lot of successive phases. Good structure shown by Ulster on this occasion. They had no finish, but there's the opportunity where Frisbee thought this is almost too good to be true, and it was. But Ulster just the upper hand in attack at the moment, and Warriors I guess have to be patient and just try and ensure that the pendulum does begin to swing in their favour.
Yeah, given the field position, Ulster are in a strong position. I think looking at the game last week, Glasgow struggled in terms of, in the 22 we got really tight in defence. That was much better, more width, which we were able to put Ulster under pressure. Just an infringement at the breakdowns, you know, giving Ulster the ball back, but again it's turned over.
Good work again from the Warriors players just to win some turnover ball. The little delayed pass, Warriors running just right into Billy Burns, the Ulster captain. They go once more, just down that 15 channel, still inside the 22. Eagerly looking to get on with it is the bearded Frisbee. Frisbee on towards Matthews there. Matthews is blocked up by a clutch of Ulster players, including Matty Ray in that back row. I haven't mentioned too much of him, but he's certainly been working hard. He's back on his feet once again and gets back in position. Frisbee perhaps looking at the option of the box kick, but the strength of the wind is going to be crucial. He's put a bit of distance on that, a bit of height. It's gathered in just on that left-hand side by Rob Little. Little evades the initial challenge, but he's tackled at the second time of asking. Cooney in behind him. Ulster players just again up in support. Billy Burns, the captain, outstretched arms, so that seems to come back off the back head of the referee, Ben Blaine there, but it eventually comes the way of Billy Burns. And Ulster falls back towards halfway. Gilroy with a little pass in towards Will Addison, the full-back. Addison on to Little. Little again just chasing that kick forward, and he's going to be in for the score. And Rob Little scores the second try in the first half inside the opening 20 minutes, and Ulster double their lead. From a winger's point of view, Lee, what did you make of the construction of that try?
Yeah, Rob Little again, looking dangerous. The kick ahead comes off from this time. It's tough to defend. I think we can see from the way both teams are playing now, the wind's pretty much in Glasgow's face. So we're struggling to get out of that 22. I thought it was a good box kick by Nick Frisbee, but it's just defensively on that. Once Ulster got to the middle of the field, they go back down that short side, and it's a tough place to defend. We'll be disappointed with that. I'm sure the guys will be looking at the backfield coverage as well, but taking nothing away from Rob Little, it's an outstanding finish. Just to get a half an inch of space and realise that there's a bit extra space in the backfield there, and the kick comes off it. It's an impressive finish.
Cooney then again just going through that pre-kick routine. Ball high on the tee, nicely elevated for him. Here he goes then. Just a relatively short run up. He brushed the first one just across the post there. He's just looking to the referee just to ensure he hadn't started his run towards the ball. I'm wondering if he's going to get one of his teammates to provide a little assistance. And here comes Matty Ray, and just place the right index finger on the ball, an illustration of how windy it is. And this can sometimes be a bit of a distraction even for the most experienced kickers, to have a teammate just ensuring the ball is steady. And that's a decent attempt, an excellent attempt there from Cooney. And the 29-year-old adds a further 2 points for Ulster. They lead by 12 points to 0, and that's been a very sound opening quarter to this game for the visiting side.
I think from what we've seen so far, the wind's definitely going to play a big part in this game, as it has so far.
Clear downfield inside the 22, and Warriors are able just to watch as Ulster clear downfield, but Warriors just looking to regroup, and Dave Rennie will be very interested at how this experimental side do think about getting themselves sort of back and focused in this game, as Matthews now with that throw-in finds Swinston. Warriors now looking just to try and attack this Ulster side with a little bit more intensity, as the Ulster side leading by 12 points to 0. Two well constructed tries. Frisbee goes in, looks to try and steal possession once again, does well. Up with play there was number 8 Adam Ash. Nothing doing for him on this occasion, but again it's with Frisbee back towards this left hand side centre field, taken on there by Darcy Ray. And once again Warriors from this position with Stafford McDowell in there alongside Matthews, looking just to add their bulk, but it comes through the hands of Frisbee once more. Frisbee again on towards this left hand side. Rory Hughes, he's forced back. Good collective defensive play there, led by Craig Gilroy. Frisbee once again looking at his option, just centre field, as they're forced backwards at the moment. Ulster certainly solid in defence, and Warriors just find a route through the initial line And they go once again down this left-hand side. Up in support is Rory Hughes. Frisbee taken on there by Andrew Davidson. So the crowd have spotted perhaps something just off the ball, maybe a little late challenge there as Frisbee brings Matthews into play. Little 1-2 there, and taken on, good determination shown by McDowell, by Stein and Hughes, and also by Jones. The four in the back line, supported by Glenn Bryce at full back. And at this time, the pass there by Brandon Thompson, just towards this right-hand side, picked up there by Frisbee, thought about going direct, as Andrew Davidson lifts himself off the deck. And in support now, Darcy Ray, just on the angle, the tight head prop again, in support as the ball is made playable for Johnny Matthews. Matthews plays some crash ball. And once again, Warriors are looking just to wrestle it away as Harley and Matthews just tried to make a few yards there. Ulster been penalised, quick tap and go. Frisbee, well, maybe a little bit too quick there, coming flying off their feet, Ulster. And Warriors certainly making a lot of having to work very hard, certainly, to make some good ground there as the little exchange, which is quite natural at this stage in the game. Welcome to Glasgow. And Ulster players are certainly just a little bit more on top and perhaps more in control of things at the moment, both in defence and attack. Warriors are still looking to get into their groove, you'd have to say.
Ulster are defending really well. We can see from that those few phases of play. They're filling the field well and they're getting off the line, which it's difficult for Glasgow to identify the space. From a Glasgow point of view, I think we need to be patient. It's going to take a while to break down. You know, off those set pieces, Ulster are looking to get off the line, they're looking to shut it down. So for Glasgow, patience. Ulster aren't committing a lot of numbers to the ruck, so maybe there's some space there. Maybe it's about guys picking through the ruck, you know, and forcing Ulster to set on the back foot so they can't get up quite as fast. All right. And Ulster, yeah, like I say, they've been strong in their defence. It's going to take a bit for Glasgow to break it down. But it's maybe about, like I say, playing through the middle, hitting those short lines.
For me, there's quite a few occasions where your guys are looking to go in and then pulling out. So they've got to do something if they've got momentum. I know what you're saying, but I'm happy at the moment.
It looks as if it's Jordy Murphy.
I know what you're
that's
saying,
come
I'm
on,
happy at the moment.
28-year-old, born in Barcelona. And I think we'll just get that confirmed. I'm sure the stadium announcer, well, in fact he is now, and it is Nick Timoni that has been replaced. And Murphy is the man on, so the first replacement here, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects set play, because Timoni's been very solid in the number 8 position.
Jordy Murphy as well, coming from the Ireland camp, he'll be itching to play some rugby, and he's a strong operator.
Matthews then, you can see who he has in the line. Once again, it's one there by Swinson. Matthews just goes to try and join in, but the referee signalling the knock on there. A rueful expression on the faces of a couple of these Warriors players, as it will be an Ulster put in. So first replacement. Of course, this is a match with it being a pre-season contest. Warriors, I think, have listed 30 players. Ulster have got the use of 31 players if they want. Some of the players will not have numbers on their backs. They will be operating rolling subs in this famous grouse pre-season contest between these sides. So that will obviously affect the ebb and flow of the game as the contest works its way through. How is that from a playing point of view, Lee, if you know that you're perhaps unlikely to see out a game and it's a case of you just taking your opportunity the time you're on, even if you're a starting player, there's a good chance you're going to be replaced?
Yeah, it's potentially why we're seeing a few errors. You know, guys maybe know they're not going to get a full run, so it's forcing the game a wee bit. It just forces a couple of knock-ons, so it does change the dynamic a wee bit.
There's Cooney once again, looking for the exit. Hoisted high, as again Warriors just looking to force Ulster into making one or two defensive mistakes there, but they've been very solid defensively, and Billy Burns and Cooney are certainly a very sound partnership there, as the two scrum half and fly half linking up well again. Matthews will have the throw in just down below us, and the referee just signalling to Matthews just to maybe move his feet just ever so slightly. Matthews then with the throw in. Swinson comes towards the front, it goes towards the back. Herring, the first try scorer there, perhaps guddled it a little bit. The referee then signalling, yes, there's the knock on, and the advantage was initially with Ulster, having won that little battle in the line out. Misunderstanding there from Matthews going towards the back when Swinson was initially acting as a decoy runner coming forward there, but no real harm done on this occasion from the Warriors, as Herring was just unable to scoop the ball up and cause any further damage. It remains Warriors 0, Ulster 12.
Another case of the wind there maybe affecting the line out options, but it gives Glasgow a good attacking platform here with a long blindside.
Frisbee picks the ball up just at the back of the scrum, taken on there by Thompson once again. That's initially what I suppose Lee Jones was talking about there, my co-commentator this afternoon. Just these little splinter runs not necessarily working as smoothly as Dave Rennie would have hoped at this stage. Andrew Davidson takes the ball in, Frisbee just in behind him. Ulster still have a solid defensive line as the Warriors are just short off halfway, as you can see from our pictures there. Up with play there was Rob Little, no interception for him, but again strong work there from Kyle Steyn, who had a good second half to last season, will want to make a real contribution this time around. Good block challenge from Stuart McCloskey, the inside Ulster centre there, as Frisbee once more retrieves possession of the ball. Taken on now, Davidson just on that halfway line. Matthews goes in to give some bodily support there as it comes back now towards Stamford McDowell. McDowell takes the ball just up and over the halfway line, recycled again on towards Andrew Davidson, receiving the pass from Frisbee. Frisbee back towards this left hand side. Once more the cutting run there from Brandon Thompson takes Warriors forward a little bit, but once more maybe a little bit of a hospital pass picked up eventually by Andrew Davidson. Frisbee again stabs that ball through right-footed, comes only as far as Gilroy, belts it right-footed himself, then gives chase inside the 22. They've got players back, have the Warriors, and that's just shepherded out there by Glenn Bryce, and they'll be able to drop from the 22. And Ulster are certainly the 50-50s are maybe going the way of the visiting side here at Scotstoun. An illustration of that is in the scoreline. 2 tries if you're just joining our live stream coverage of this famous grouse contest between Glasgow Warriors and Ulster through Rob Herring. And just a short time ago, the left winger Rob Little scoring a try apiece. The second of those tries converted by John Cooney in windy conditions, and Ulster lead by 12 points to 0. And this is Johnny Matthews, the ex-Boroughmuir player who was in real top try-scoring form for his club side Boroughmuir last term. Better play now from Glasgow Warriors, taking on Sam from Hughes. Hughes now, a good support is Hugh Jones. And Jones sought that he's eventually just able to accelerate again. There's a little bit lateral shot of that 22. This has got the home crowd going really for the first time in this first half. And here now cries of Warriors, Warriors, and Glasgow, Glasgow, as Frisbee now on towards Jones. Jones did well just to keep that break going and keep possession alive there. Matthews receives the pass there from Frisbee, and he's knocked backwards there. An opportunity now perhaps for Glasgow to ship it out towards this right hand side, but they play a couple of passages. Another phase comes to nothing as Frisbee is just taking direction from the referee, and he marches Ulster back and Warriors forward closer towards that 22. But a much better play there from the Warriors initially down the left hand side. Good strong running once Rory Hughes was able to pick up, and good support from Hugh Jones as well. And again on another afternoon he perhaps would have been able to cut that initial line of Ulster defence and really trouble them in their own 22.
I think we're starting to see Glasgow adapt to the Ulster defence. Obviously they're filling the field, they've got their wingers pretty high because it's unlikely Glasgow are able to kick with the wind. So we've seen there Nick Frisbee take the space around the ruck, and I think that's where Glasgow are going to get a bit of joy. He managed to get on the front foot, a great offload, and some good link play up the touchline. It was a good pass inside from Rory Hughes, but it's about the players looking at what's gone and how they can affect that, how they can change that. Ulster have defended strongly, but there's always going to be an area where they're weaker, and it was good to see Glasgow exploit that through Nick Frisbee there.
Thompson then will kick towards the corner inside that 22. just look for some direction here as Matthews goes across, retrieves the ball now. This throw in close towards the 5 metre line. Very few occasions have the Warriors had meaningful possession as far into Ulster's 22 as this inside the first half. Matthews secures possession this time in the middle of the line and then joins in as Frisbee directs operations just from behind. The Warriors scrum half there. Matthews has the ball, 5 metres, now 4 metres short of the line. Roaring in comes Rory Hughes, racing in comes the backs to try and support. It gets a little bit untidy, the referee, a shrill blast of the whistle, and the Warriors have done enough, well, to win the try. It's underneath the post there. I think he's awarded the penalty try. He's going to go to his pocket here, the referee, and let's see who's he's going to call forward. One of the Warriors players just having a conversation with the referee. Lee, let's get your own thoughts on that. It was a penalty try in the end to the Warriors when it looked as if they were in for an almost certain score, and that changes the complexion of the scoreline somewhat, as Ulster, as you can see, are now down a man. And watching on in the sin bin is the man who's only been on just a few minutes, Jordy Murphy, of course, a replacement for Nick Timoni. Here's a replay, Lee.
Yeah, it looked for all certainty Glasgow were over the line, so it's good to see the referee make that call when there was a certain try. We can call that probably 1-1 on driving mauls now. We'll see how that develops as the game goes on.
From the restart, of course, you've had for some time now with penalty tries, no need for the kicker to try and add the extra 2 points. So it's now Ulster 12, Glasgow Warriors 7. A penalty try for the Warriors. The 2 tries from Ulster's point of view coming from Rob Herring and from Rob Little. The penalty scores 7 points to 12 then. And probably with stoppages, we've got just under 10 minutes of the first half left to play. Warriors again just picking the ball up inside their own 22, looking for some cutting runs here, providing that initial run out of the 22 was Stafford McDowell. Again, Frisbee up in support. Lovely little offload pass there. Hugh Jones shows a lot of strength and carries well. Continuing the carry is Andrew Davidson in that second row. Frisbee again thought about down that left hand side and bringing Brandon Thompson into play. Thompson now just scoops up after Frisbee was tackled well there. Cooney in, just tackling his opposite number. Jones continues play as up with the action was Tim Swinson. Frisbee now back in his familiar position, just trying to dig the ball out here and ensure that Warriors once again are in a position to build an attack here. Matthews was the most obvious runner there, the hooker, but again nothing coming on this occasion for the Warriors, and that was taken on here by Adamson. A quick touch and a grubber kick through, and giving chase was Craig Gilroy, who's scored 2 tries last weekend when these sides met in Belfast. Swinson on towards Thompson, again between the 10 and the 22 inside the Warriors half of the field. Frisbee has it back in towards the piling second row forwards. Those in the back row, Andrew Davidson, Tim Swinson, Rob Harley, Chris Pissarro and Adam Ash. Hugh Jones now on towards the left winger here, Rory Hughes, and Hughes now is going to back himself. A tackle comes in there from Billy Burns, the captain, but it was all about the pace of Rory Hughes, a midget pass, and suddenly Warriors have turned this game almost on its head. They were level pegging at 12-all with the kick to come. And again, Lee, you'll appreciate the skill there and the pace and power of Rory Hughes, but your teammates there, Hugh Jones, just a measured pass, drawing in the fullback, Will Adamson, and it was just a chase to the line with Billy Burns doing all he could to try and stop the Warriors starting left winger.
Strong finish by Rory. Hugh Jones does the obvious thing, draws the defender, gives the pass. Again it comes from us exploiting a bit of space around the ruck, and in terms of exiting from that 22, it's often unorthodox. It's not often you see the space around the ruck, but Nick Frisbee's again identified that, and it's just getting Glasgow the front foot ball that they need. We used the short side well there, and then like I say, Hugh Jones doing the obvious thing, and Rory's done well. It's a long run in there for him, but he's powerful, he's quick, and he's got there just before Billy Burns could get across the cover.
This a kick here for Brandon Thompson, so a penalty try. There is the aforementioned Thompson then starts his run up, ball on the tee, that's curling in very well indeed. So 2 tries in the space of 3 minutes, and the Warriors are in front by 14 points to 12. And suddenly the Warriors, as you can see on the clock, have just got 3 minutes of the first half left to play. And that'll change the complexion of Dave Rennie's half-time team talk somewhat, I would imagine, because that's the sort of response he's been looking for. Ulster just caught in two minds when Hugh Jones made that initial break. Hughes did the right thing, being the natural left winger and the supportive runner, and was able to finish things off. 14-12 then, our match referee, Ben Blaine, just before the game restarts. Just a reminder, a little earlier on in the half, Rob Little and Rob Herring, the try scorers for Ulster. Ulster, of course, important to say, Lee, a man down with Jordy Murphy in the bin, and Warriors making them pay a man short.
Yeah, when you see someone go to the sin bin, it's something you always want to capitalise on that and take advantage, which it's good to see Glasgow do so far.
Cooney for Ulster. I'm sure they'll feel the sting of 2 tries, that penalty try and the huge try just a few moments ago. Sean Reedy dropping that right shoulder, Cooney in behind him, getting close towards that 22. Eric O'Sullivan tackled by Ollie Keeble. Keeble gets up and just back into position. Stuart McCluskey now takes it forward. McCluskey with Ferris in support. Back out there goes Cooney. On towards that left-hand side. Of course, they've got Rob Little already exploiting some space down the left-hand side with that second try. O'Sullivan and Herring linking up well. The front row 3 trying to cause and pose some danger for the Warriors, taken on well there by Treadwell. He's carried well in the opportunities he's had in this first half so far. Billy Burns, nice little offload there from Faddis, and it comes now interception here. Rory Hughes, the try scorer, has been replaced. I think is it Ratu Tagivi that's come on?
Ratu Tagivi, yeah, he's onto the field.
I'm just getting a word that Tagivi is on in place of Hughes, so maybe picked up a little bit of a knock. But we did mention it is rolling subs during this contest, and Warriors have it again inside their own half of the field, up towards that 10-metre line. Frisbee looking just to try and recycle some ball. Again, that's delicate play there from the half-backs there. Thompson playing the ball through. Stafford McDowell also up in support as it comes back down towards Rob Little, who's in centre field, the left winger. Cooney again looking for strong, powerful cutting runners. Herring with the pass back to his skipper Burns. And now a splinter break on here by the outside centre. Faddis in support is Cooney there, but a good block challenge by Tagivi, who's just come on the field of play, and that's been welcomed by the Warriors home support. He's been on and already shown his defensive qualities there in place of the second try scorer, the only main try scorer in Warriors colours. The penalty try coming, and then Rory Hughes with the second score for Warriors. 14 points to 12, and we're into the closing stages of this first half as Rob Harley tries to escape the attentions of 2 or 3 Ulster players. And behind him once again is Darcy Ray, and so too now is Frisbee, squatting down, has a little look to his left hand side, almost juggled there by Tim Swinson, but he's able just to make a few yards there. Frisbee again just goes in, was unsure but now makes certain, just controls the balls with the stud of his right boot, and then again just going down with the measured kick forward, is guarded in by Rob Little. Little keeps the ball in play there. Coming off his wing is Craig Gilroy. Gilroy with a little offload. Cooney up in support. Solid challenge coming in there, and Gilroy. Another card is going to be shown. I think this time it's going to be one of the Warriors players, and a yellow card. And well, you can see Lee, he's not very happy at the decision going against him.
I didn't quite see what happened there with Ollie Keble and Craig Gilroy.
I wonder if that was potentially for a high contact situation or dumping him to the ground. We'll maybe get a replay of that, but Keble just marches his way to the edge of the touchline there, so we're 14 apiece in terms of players on the pitch.
Yeah, an interesting period of play there. There was a couple of great pieces of defence from Ratu Tagivi. He came on, he intercepted one, and then he made a tackle and stole the ball in one motion, which is a great bit of skill. I think both teams are trying to their offloading game's been pretty good. We're almost seeing 2-3 offloads, which is putting the defence under pressure, and it's almost just that last pass on both sides that's causing turnovers. But both sides are being pretty, they're looking to offload the ball, they're looking to find space, and it's just that last one that's not going to hand, which is causing the game to be a bit more scrappy than we would probably like.
So Cable's in the bin for 10 minutes, and there is Billy Burns possibly hobbling just a little bit there as we get a shot of the Ulster captain, and again Warriors have managed to pick up, and Ulster have made a little bit of a mess of that attacking situation. Carried forward there again, Adam Ash just getting himself back on his feet as the backs now try to link up well. McDowell on towards Hughes, and this in the picture is Kyle Steyn on the right wing, also a very good operative centre in back infield towards McDowell. On now is Hugh Jones again. Jones is eventually tackled as he goes straight into Ulster jerseys. Frisbee, you can see that Ulster are having to defend a Warriors side playing at a little higher intensity just at the moment. Frisbee with that loop pass, there's 3 Ulster players out on that right hand side. They cut back infield though, and good work again by Kyle Steyn to bring the ball back in towards that 15 channel. On the edge of the 22, again the clock ticking down towards the half-time interval, with the Warriors trailing by 12 points to 0, but now leading by 14 points to 12. Frisbee again just picks up the second row forward. Andrew Davidson carries it just over the 22. Back now towards Johnny Matthews, just long drawn in there by Matthews as it's back towards Frisbee again, and Nasiri in support. It's more the forwards that are taking it on just at the moment as the clock ticks down towards the half-time interval. 12 minutes for these players before the start of the second half. That right-footed Frisbee kick comes to nothing, but Ben Blaine has already blasted on his whistle, and a decision, that offside decision, I think, has been given against Ulster here. So Warriors again just getting back on their feet. Frisbee exchanging a word or two with teammates. One of them there, Rob Harley, was quite vocal in the last huddle. So Lee, you've been in this situation many times before. You're leading by 2 points, you're closing in on half time, and you've got this opportunity inside the opposition 22 that you'll want to take full advantage of.
Yeah, especially I think losing Ollie Kebble there, we want to try and at least maintain the scoreline. If we can score, then that's a bonus. So it'll be interesting to see whether we go for points here or go to the corner. Glasgow managed to generate a bit of tempo off a turnover deep in the half, and it's probably the first time we've really seen Glasgow on the front foot, and the Ulster defence, struggling to keep up, and we've seen that offloading game coming back into it. Hugh Jones has managed to get on the end of a couple of those offloads, and he's looking dangerous. He's in the right place at the right time. We can see Glasgow going for the points here, which I think is a wise decision given we've got one off the field. We could go into the half nudged a bit further ahead than otherwise we would be. Yeah,
Jordy Murphy incidentally is back on after his 10 minutes in the sin bin, but with Ollie Kebble still in the bin for the next 8 or so minutes. As Lee was saying, if Warriors could get 3 points, that would be certainly a good work from their point of view. Dan McFarland very much be thinking somewhat differently, with Ulster leading 12-0 early on. There's a nice struck clean and true, and the referee has signalled that indeed is the conclusion of the half there. So a penalty goal bringing the action in this first half to a close, with the Warriors leading by 17 points to 12. And in the early stages it was a tentative opening 10 minutes or so. Rob Herring did take full advantage of a line out deep inside the Warriors 22 to score the opening try, the second coming from Rob Riddle, but Warriors responding, a penalty try, and then shortly before he exited the field, Rory Hughes scored a try which was converted to give Warriors a 14-12 lead, but that penalty on the stroke of half time has the Warriors leading by 17 points to 12. Lee Jones, an intriguing opening 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think over the whole half it took a while for both teams to settle down. A bit error strewn to begin with, but I think we've seen both sides really make use of turnover ball and down short sides, offloads, which has really brought the game to life. There's been a bit of a momentum swing towards Glasgow towards the end of the half, It was good to see Glasgow finish off a couple of opportunities. It'll be interesting to see how the game changes from the point of view of the wind. Glasgow were having to run everything out their own half, or attempt to run everything. The kicking options really weren't an option because of the wind. Ulster's wingers sitting pretty high, knowing that Glasgow would struggle to find space. I think in this second half we might see some more kind of smart kicking options from Glasgow to try and shape the Ulster defence, which could really see Glasgow get onto the front foot, which they'll be hoping for going into the second half.
It is the famous Grouse pre-season challenge, and we've had plenty of highlights in the first half. This is the Rob Herring try inside the opening 5 minutes. There he is, throwing the ball into the line out, the Ulster hooker grabbing and then dashing over there from 3 metres out. A powerful man, difficult to stop. Cape Town born Herring scoring that opening try. And then after successive pressure, Ulster, having had opportunities on that right hand side, were able to again ship it through Billy Burns. This was a breakaway from Nick Frisbee that nothing came of that, but it was again an illustration of Warriors beginning to pick up defensively and sharpen up a little bit, and a loose Ulster pass almost had Frisbee away. Again, power was very much part of this game, and an opportunity here for the Warriors was given by the referee, a penalty score. You'll see him just in the corner of the picture dashing underneath the posts. That was the Warriors' first response, that coming on the half hour. Of course that led to Jordy Murphy's yellow card. Hugh Jones applauding the efforts of his forwards there.
I think Hugh was just applauding the efforts of the two backs that went into that maul there, lending their weight. And
here's Rory Hughes. Took us through this, Lee Jones.
Yeah, it was just good play up the short side there. Hugh Jones managed to get away, as he's done on a couple of occasions, and as I said in the commentary, just doing the obvious thing, drawing the last defender. And Rory's got the pace and the power to finish in the corner. It's good to see.
Yeah, big powerful figure. Of course, shortly afterwards he was replaced by Aratu, who came on the pitch and immediately got involved defensively in a good solid challenge. So we've had tries, as we mentioned there, from Rob Little as well as Rob Herring for Ulster, the penalty try, and of course that try from Rory Hughes, and the penalty goal right on half time. So it is 17 points to 12 for Glasgow Warriors at half time, with the penalty coming right on the stroke of half time. We've got various matches being played on the pitches involving young groups of rugby players from schools near and far. I think some have come as far as Aberdeen and Oban. And the next, and of course there's a kicking challenge as well. It's always very popular with spectators, and a few have been pulled from the Scotstoun stands. We'll certainly see how they go, but all part of the fun of a pre-season challenge. And how's your kicking these days, Lee?
Given the hamstring, probably not great at the moment, but give me
want to aggravate it for sure.
Give me a couple of weeks and I'll be back into it.
Well, here she goes. That's a decent grubber effort there, but it was never really airborne. She'll be disappointed with that. And here's the second gentleman. He might require a little bit of assistance, because we did see John Cooney kicking one of the two Ulster tries, needing a bit of assistance.
It's tough conditions, I'll give them that.
Here he goes. I think this gentleman's name's Colin. Rubs his hands, eager to impress. That's a fantastic effort there. And there he is, delighted with that. Maybe not aware he's got on camera, but he's happy just now.
He's getting the full commentary as well.
John, this must be John now. Oh, that's the best of them all, I think. So there we are. Do we have a tie? Yes, I was going to keep it going. So Colin and John will contest this kick-off here. 12 minutes of an interval break for these sides in the dressing rooms. 17 points to 12 for Warriors. We expect plenty of replacements to come on the field to play in the second half. But here he goes, Colin. And then a little exchange with the on-pitch announcer. Can he make it 2 from 2? And he just shot off the post there. Elevated kick. Announcer saying it's a sandwich. That would go down well in Glen Eagles with the Solheim Cup on the go at the moment. Here's John now, this to win it. The spectators, those that have stayed in their seats for the interval, will be watching on with interest. Oh my goodness me, that's like an England penalty shootout attempt. I've seen many of them. So is Colin back in play? He is indeed. Here he goes. Didn't catch the name of the lady in the screen as well. She'd one effort that was just underneath the bar. So Colin, I think there's a trophy and some whiskey up for grabs here. Here he goes then, his third attempt. That's much better. And it's over, and he celebrates.
Very sporting of Gordon Richards here. Obviously Gordon must be for the best.
I think the boys could be hoping for a place in the Glasgow Warriors bench in the second half if they can if they can keep this up.
Well, if there's space on that bench, they may well be used. Here he goes then, John on the edge of that 22. Can he level things up? Oh, now there's some indecision over whether that actually went over or not. But I think they're awarding him. Yeah, John looks a little bit sheepish there, but here goes Colin again. He's been certainly impressive with these last few attempts. I think he's been hurried up a little bit here. Or maybe too much as that goes to the left of the uprights. So here goes John once again. Live coverage of this kick-off here. This kicking challenge at Scotstoun at half-time in the Warriors Ulster game. And he's won it. John has won it. A trophy and a whiskey. And he'll enjoy himself tonight, I'm sure, as he might even get the chance to run on a lap of honour. This, of course, is a famous Grouse-sponsored event. So you've got the Grouse trophy and the whiskey in the left hand. So there we are. That's an illustration of the pre-match entertainment here at half-time. A 12-minute break for the players in the changing rooms. A reminder of the half-time score. It is Glasgow Warriors 17, Ulster 12.
So the guys have prepared well. We're ready to go and obviously get another crack at Ulster.
No, it definitely wasn't on my radar when I first moved up.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. So it's kind of shown that I've worked pretty well with the guys at Boroughmuir.
Obviously the pre-season's been awesome, and it's a little bit different obviously to in-season. Chance to strip our game back around all areas, put a lot of time into that, and obviously grow our game and give them an understanding of what's required. We need to be a very fit side to do that, but it's a lot about being really explosive and powerful, and that's reflected in how the boys work in the gym. Hopefully that'll put us in good stead for the season. As mentioned, we've had a lot of different people in, half a dozen club players that we've invited in to have a decent look at, 9 academy, half a dozen sevens players, and so we've seen them make really good shifts, and it was great to give them a little bit of game time last week to try and implement that under pressure. So I think they would have learnt a lot. We certainly learnt a lot about them over the past couple of months, and great from that perspective, and hopefully a couple more of these young fellas will emerge this year.
No, it definitely wasn't on my radar when I first moved up.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. So it's kind of shown that I've worked pretty well with the guys at Boroughmuir. Worked pretty hard there, and hopefully it's been rewarded with a gig here. I think I've definitely put a bit more muscle and trimmed down a little bit. Obviously, going from that part-time training to full-time has a big impact on on your physique and on my game. I think I've definitely picked up some things, you know, speaking with Ollie Cabell and, you know, Darcy Ray, though, you know, working with Para in the scrums really helped develop me, and JD's obviously done a lot of work with my throwing, so hopefully could improve that moving forward as well.
Hey guys, 2 people clean out on these bags. You guys out now. 2 clean out bags. The third guy, what's he doing? He's going to pick the ball up and give it to 9. 9's got the screen in him. No one has nothing to do here. On that last one, one guy cleans out, second will pick, past the third guy has 9 with him. All right, come on.
You know, we felt we didn't defend well enough last week. You know, and like I said, Ulster were excellent. They were clinical, but we lost the collisions. We didn't get bodies on bodies, and we didn't slow their ball down, which meant we lost obviously gain line, and they got really quick ball and put us under pressure. So, you know, we need to see some shifts there, and a lot of that comes down to combinations and so on. So we've worked hard this week, and we expect to see you know, an improvement.
So the start of the second half, just a few seconds away. Ben Blaine just having a quick word with a couple of the Ulster players there. You can see near side in the picture, Will Adamson. Ulster looking to go to the bench to make 1 or 2 replacements. Bill Johnston making his debut for Ulster in the second half. And there is Ratu Tagivi, who came on just shortly before half-time in place of Rory Hughes. Made some good block challenges. Be interesting to see what he can do both in defence and in attack. It is 17 points to 12 in favour of the Warriors inside the opening 30 seconds of the second half. If you're just joining our live coverage of this famous grouse pre-season challenge match between these sides, well, I can tell you that Ulster did open up a 12-0 advantage with 2 tries coming in the early stages of the half. It was Rob Herring inside 5 minutes who opened the scoring. Then closer to the half hour, Rob Little added a second try to give Ulster a 12-0 lead. Then a penalty try brought Warriors back to within 5 points before Rory Hughes, the aforementioned Hughes, levelled things up at 12 all. And then 5 further points from the boot then gave Warriors a half-time lead of 17 points to 12, and Bill Johnston on for Ulster at the start of the second half with 22 in his back this afternoon. Ulster then in these white jerseys, in their picture as well is number 20, who was in the sin bin, Jordy Murphy. And again, Ulster now through John Cooney, just in position, is now able to scoop the ball up, has a look towards his right hand side. Kieran Treadwell, the second row forward, takes it on. Cooney does well to again find Stuart McCloskey out towards the full-back here. Adamson out to the left hand side as Rob Little has to cut inside, does very well indeed. Good upper body strength there. Stafford McDowell showing a good tackle block challenge coming in from him as well. And good defensive cover there from the centre as Ulster peppering this Warriors line. Cooney again back towards this right hand side. Rob Herring, nothing doing for him on this occasion, but Ulster trying to spread it out towards this right hand side. Are they going to be denied on this occasion? I think they're over for the score, Lee. And Ulster starting this second half with a sharpness and a crispness, and they're in for their third try of the match, and all credit to the collective Ulster players for producing something inside the opening 2 minutes of the second period. And we get an illustration of this again. McCloskey finishing things off for Ulster there, receiving the pass from Ferris, and there he goes from about 8 metres out. Challenge comes in, but McCloskey was not to be denied.
Yeah, he just takes on that defensive sliding laterally. We're a bit short on numbers, and he's identified that. He stepped back hard, difficult tackle to make, and he's a quality operator Stuart McCluskey. From a Glasgow point of view, giving away the penalty off that kickoff was tough. I thought we defended the driving maul really well, and some good defence on the line. Rob Little looked sharp in the wide channel, but then, like you say, Glasgow just kind of ran out of numbers, and Stuart McCluskey's a great player. He'll identify that every day of the week, and he goes over with a good finish.
Cooney then will have the kick just on the edge of that 22. Again, an illustration of how windy it is here at Scotstoun, as that is successful. The touch judge is just raising the flags momentarily. So 17-19 is the scoreline here at Scotstoun, with 3.5 minutes of the second half gone, and the referee brings the Warriors players up to halfway. So it's Warriors 17, Ulster 19, and Warriors will have the restart just on the halfway line. Warriors 17, Ulster 19, with Warriors scoring a penalty just on the stroke of half time to give them a 17-12 lead at the interval, and that converted try as Cooney box kicks from the edge of his 22 to give chase down that right hand side. Craig Gilroy, who scored twice last weekend. Ulster racking up 8 tries in Belfast last weekend, winning by 50 points to 19, but they're 5 tries between the sides so far this afternoon. Sam Carter and Matty Ray. It's Ray that wins the ball in that line out, as Ulster look to try and get themselves up towards the 10 metre line. Crisp passage of play here from the visiting Ulster side, as the latest try scorer there, Stuart McCluskey, will look to add to his try tally this afternoon. A little interchange of passing there with Fadis, comes out towards the Barcelona-born Jordy Murphy, who had that yellow card in the first half, supported there by Cooney. Back in field taken on by Rob Herring, who got the scoring started in this game inside the opening 5 minutes. Comes down centre field, and once again Fadis just trying to lead the line with the support of the second row forwards. A touch and an early one there from the debutant Bill Johnston, who got us restarted at the start of this second half. McCluskey takes the ball into contact. Cooney again just ships it out once more towards Herring, and it's taken forward there. Matty Ray was trying to escape the attentions of the Warriors defensive line, but the referee brings play back for a set play, and Warriors will have an opportunity just to turn defence into attack. Here, Lee, your thoughts on, again, the opening 5 minutes? That this untidy feel has continued. The game has been sharp in fits and starts, but there's been untidy passages along the way.
You can see from the conditions, just Ulster forced to play the ball through the hands to get out their 22, and Glasgow can take advantage from that defensively. You know, they can push the backfield up a bit flatter, really fill the field, and like Ulster did in the first half, really get off the line and put them under pressure. Ulster will be forced into playing the little tip-ons, playing the little offloads out the back, and that's what creates errors. So we should get a good platform here. Left-hand scrum for Glasgow. See the boys put one of the set moves onto the field.
Of course, Warriors starting the second half down to 14 men, with Ollie Kebble still in the sin bin. His yellow card coming about 90 seconds before half time, so they've just managed to rejig that front three with this attacking scrum for the Warriors then just beyond the halfway line. You can just see in the top right hand corner of your picture the little marking of the 10 metre line, and Warriors then, as you can see, just inside Ulster territory, trailing by 2 points with 5 tries, one of them for the Warriors a penalty try, coming close towards the interval, and they did have a 17-12 lead at half time. Ulster don't look entirely happy with that referee's decision, as Frisbee now just takes the quick tap and go on towards Stafford McDowell, but the referee brings play back. McDowell, one of the exciting young players to have a very good season in 2018-19, and they'll look to try and build on that in this campaign. But maybe again a strength of the illustration of the strength of the Warriors' strength and depth. With you being out yourself, Lee, you know you're going to be, you know, one of the players featured many times, we hope, this season in another good Warriors campaign, as there's a lot of competition in the backs as well as the forwards.
Yeah, you highlighted Stafford McDowell there. He had a great season last year, just a young lad, but yeah, he's proved that the step up to, you know, professional rugby has been been almost what looks easy for him. He's had a great pre-season, so it's good to see him on the field. He was alive there to Nick Frisbee's quick tap.
Matthews again finds Tim Swinson just towards the front of the line. And Matthews again, you can just see he's trying to control the ball, ships it from his left to his right hand side. Secondary drive comes on. Matthews just stays in the corner. Frisbee's now in behind him. Frisbee now just a very delicate kick, but there's not too much of a sort of in-goal area here at Scotstoun, so he just put a little bit too much on that kick through. But the Warriors will continue to have Ulster penned inside the Ulster 22, as the Warriors were just playing some advantage there through Frisbee. You often find that you get these opportunities, Lee, and if they don't come off, no damage done, because you've got another line out that little bit closer to your opposition zone try line.
Yeah, we'll always see that. If there's penalty advantage, you might see the kick in behind to try and find space. It was interesting to see Glasgow go with 8 in the scrum and 1 short in the backs, and the scrum penalty back there, and that's a great result on that, because that's a decision that has to be made. And it's obviously come off with us winning the penalty.
Rob Harley has done very well, and it's Matthews who's going to be in for a score. Oh, you'll love that. We mentioned he scored something like 19 tries last season for Boroughmuir, but Johnny Matthews, a very talented sevens player as well in the club game, and he'll be delighted with that as well. But all credit again to the line-out jumpers, because they won some secure ball in an attacking position inside that 22, and you can see how Glasgow managed just to disrupt that Ulster defence, so much so that Matthews was in from close quarters, and the lead changes hands once again. Warriors back in front by 22 points to 19.
I was really impressed with Johnny Matthews in the first half. We talked about him earlier on. Good athlete. And he's the beneficiary of a good driving maul there, and with Warriors still down to one man on the sideline, that's another win there on the driving maul. 2-1 if we're keeping tallies on the driving mauls, but great to see Johnny Matthews get just rewards for a strong performance in the first half.
And what have you made of the Warriors kicking in the game? Because to have somebody like Brandon Thompson kicking well during the course of the game. He added the penalty just before half time. He's got the conversion there. To have a clutch of really good kickers is going to be very important during the campaign.
Yeah, we can take advantage of opportunities when you win penalties, when you're converting tries, and I think we'll see Brandon probably kick a bit more from hand in this half because of the win. So it's one of the strengths of his game, and something that we'll see probably come more into this half.
Ratu Tagivi back on the field of play. He was replaced during that scrummage move just inside Ulster half of the field that ultimately ended in a score for the Warriors. They'll now lead by 24 points to 19. So the Warriors have scored tries. Matthews in the second half. Rory Hughes in the first half, a penalty try as well. With also, you can see in the left hand corner of your screen, 3 Ulster scores as well. Stuart McCloskey at the start of the second half, but Rob Little and Rob Herring, it was Herring that got things started inside the opening 5 minutes. So both hookers have scored tries, and we did predict that might be the case, but that's taken on nicely there in the attack here. Ulster, little 1-2, and once again looking dangerous there. David Shanahan on, wearing 21. Jordy Murphy as well, getting himself involved in 2 or 3 phases. Will Adamson is the starting fullback, and he is able to continue play on there. It was taken on by Jordy Murphy on this right hand side. Ulster will look to try and respond. Shanahan back infield and taken on this time by Kyle McCall, but that's again just somewhat untidy, and back now for Glasgow Warriors as they're looking to try and retrieve possession. They've got Sean Kennedy on from being benched as the replacement scrum half, and now it comes back through the hands. Glenn Bryce was starting at fullback for the Warriors. Kennedy again just has a little look towards his left hand side. Got big carriers coming in. Andrew Davidson willing just to take the ball up towards that 10 metre line between the 10 and the 22. You can see they're willing to spread it wide. Ratu now out on this left hand side. Tagivi just takes it over halfway and is picked up and driven forward towards again the 10 metre line inside the Warriors at the Ulster half of the field, with Warriors in attack at the moment. Warriors just playing with a little bit more pace and intensity as it's shipped towards this right hand side. Kyle Stein was in position to try and gather up the scrappy ball. The referee has spotted a solid challenge there, just a little exchange with his near side assistant. And the Warriors again are going to build between the two channels, 5 and 15, just on halfway. Kennedy back in field, and again Thompson gets a touch just to keep the attack going. Kennedy scoops the ball up once again, comes up against his opposite number, David Shanahan. So the two replacement scrum halves are on with about half hour of the contest left to play. Warriors then, of course, there are a clutch of players involved this afternoon, won't have numbers on their backs because the bench, rather than being 23, is upwards of 30 each side, and we'll see more and more players, I would imagine, coming off the bench in this second half. But better play from the Warriors. We'll get the thoughts of Lee Jones, who's alongside me, in just a second, as Hugh Jones takes the ball into contact, and Kennedy again tries to mop up. Thompson plays the ball down. Tagibi gives chase, but Ulster have men down this left hand side, and eventually Kyle Stein is forced backwards there. It comes now towards Stuart McCluskey, one of the try scorers, backwards, and then he straightens up and does very well indeed. This is Kieran Treadwell on now to number 21. That is, of course, the replacement scrum half. We mentioned David Shanahan. The ball goes a little bit loose. It comes towards Rob Herring there inside the 22. Ulster, better play. Shanahan goes in just to mop things up, and it's taken on once more there by Bill Johnston, who started the second half. So we've got Shanahan and Johnston, the refreshed Ulster half-back partnership here, and it's out now towards Will Addison. Addison is just caught inside the 22, just very close towards the touchline. Shanahan again has a little look, back row forward. Sean Reedy, twice capped by Ireland, takes it forward, but he's forced backwards. Scrapping for possession there is Rob Harley, another man with international experience, and once again forced backwards there was Geordie Murphy, but Alan O'Connor now just drops his shoulder. Another Ulster replacement who's on the field of play inside that 22. Warriors are forced backwards, they've got to control the defence. Shanahan again just drops his right shoulder, and again the measured pass there from that scrum half as a clutch of Ulster players are across on this right hand side for Shanahan to find. One of them there is Matty Ray. Shanahan's going to come back centre field, and it comes back once again there towards Kyle McCall. He goes to ground there. The referee has signalled that Warriors are going in but not releasing the tackle player. And high time, as we said. We mentioned Lee Jones alongside me. Lee, well, plenty of possession there for Ulster. Warriors, though, at times when Tagibi was bursting down that left hand side, had an outlet, but Ulster have had a bit of a stranglehold since going behind in the game.
It's been a long phase of play there. Initially I was going to talk about how patient Glasgow were being off a turnover in our own half. We worked our way up to the middle third, and I think we were just a bit guilty of overplaying there. We talked about the match last week, that middle third of the pitch. Defences are often on top. Glasgow were patient, but then there's going to be a time to put the ball in behind, and when we did kick, we weren't quite on the front foot, and Ulster countered really well. So I'd like to see Glasgow make a bit more use of that middle third, and if we're not going anywhere, then put the ball in behind and turn Ulster.
Treadwell having won the ball from the line out there, and it's Gilroy is found there by Shanahan, the replacement scrum half. Shanahan again on towards Sean Reedy. Reedy just on the angle. Shanahan taking the ball forward, this time Matty Ray takes it up closer towards that 5 metre line. Ulster themselves, like Warriors a few minutes earlier, trying to go through the phases that little bit quicker and sharper. As Faris now, the outside centre, has a little look. Does Shanahan on again towards the replacement front row forward, Kyle McCall. Here you can see the Warriors posts on the left hand side, but Ulster just overcooking things a little bit, and the Warriors doing very well indeed. There you can see some congratulations, Darcy Ray right in the thick of the defensive action, and one or two of the Ulster players doing a little bit of claret there as this becomes a rather bruising and bloody encounter. But it is a pre-season challenge match between these sides, and of course we've got Ulster up against Ospreys on Friday the 27th of September in the opening Pro 14 game for them. For Warriors, they're down in South Africa before they take on the Scarlets here at Scotstoun on the 4th of October. That of course still to come, Lee, but a good response defensively from Warriors after Ulster, you mentioned, having so many phases there and looking as if they could potentially open up. Warriors once again, they still have the 3 tries on the board.
Yeah, it's a big play from Darcy Ray to win the turnover. It just relieves pressure. Ulster, worked their way up to the 22 there. They won the penalty, and they're battering away. So defensively, that'll give Glasgow, a lot of strength going there. They'll take a lot from that to win the turnover there. Darcy, like I say, relieves a lot of pressure, and Glasgow will get an opportunity to get back into that middle third of the field, as we see a few replacements coming on now.
I think they've certainly changed their entire front row by the looks of it, which is no great surprise just at this stage in the game. Just to your left of the picture there, Johnny Matthews, the latest Warriors player to score a try. And again, Darcy Ray being congratulated for his efforts, as the announcer has a busy job in his hands just going through the various replacements. I think Hugh Jones has also come off as well, Lee. I think Glasgow made about 5 replacements there, bringing on some fresh legs.
Stafford McDowell off there as well. So we'll see how this changes the shape of the game.
Paddy Kelly, one of the replacement players on the field, with 56 minutes on the clock. And of course, these sides having scored a full 6 tries between them. 56 minutes and 36 seconds on the clock. And just having a look down at another replacement coming on there. Kieran MacDonald also on.
Another substitution for Glasgow Warriors.
Thought Andrew Davidson played very well in that first half as well on his return to Glasgow.
He has indeed. He's put in a real good shift in the first 56 minutes of this contest, and in terms of the bigger picture, will do his prospects no harm at all, with a fair number of key individuals away at the World Cup. Those like yourself coming back from injury as well, looking just to try and cement a good solid Glasgow Warriors squad for the season ahead. And the exact same applies with Ulster as well, having gone and made some signings in the summer just to try and strengthen. Dan McFarlane will be looking at various options during the campaign, as they were a Pro 14 semi-finalist last time out. Great one running here from Faris down that right hand side, and Shanahan was up in support there. The Ulster outside centre did very well indeed to take play up towards the edge of the 22, rightly congratulated there for his efforts by the likes of Craig Gilroy. And Ulster, remember, still trailing by 5 points in the game, as you can see the scoreline on the left hand side of your screen, with those 6 tries, one of them for Warriors, a penalty score. But Ulster looking to try and turn the screw at the moment, as they're going to just try and kick towards the corner here. Bill Johnston just angling this kick from the edge of the 22. He will make sure it's delicate but measured at the same time. And Johnston himself will want to try and impress Dan McFarland in what remains of this game, with Ulster having put in a solid performance last weekend, scoring 50 points. One there towards the middle of the line. Now the big bulk comes in the form of John Andrew at 16, and number 4 there was Kieran Treadwell. Solid drive on here by Ulster, as they're taking it to within 3 metres of the try line. They're again just trying to pepper the line. You can see the ball held up there, as Shanahan was desperately trying to pull the ball away there. The referee though has intervened, and we've had one penalty try in the game so far, but Ulster were mighty close there, causing Glasgow all kinds of problems. Another yellow card shown there. I'm just looking to see which of the forwards has been yellow carded, Lee.
Guys, hang on. It'd be off.
I think Grant Stewart there, the driving maul.
Yeah, he's the one coming towards us. He's coming off.
No.
Driving maul continues to be a theme.
So the referee has awarded again a try there. 24-26 is the scoreline. So again, two very similar episodes there, with forwards being yellow carded, denying try scoring opportunities.
Yeah, maybe it's something the refs have been looking at in terms of the driving maul, but it's not often you see 2 yellow cards for the same offence.
2 penalty
against
tries.
penalty tries, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, two yellow cards, 2 penalty tries, because you could see the ball was held up there as they were just approaching the try line, Ulster, but the referee was underneath the post for a penalty score. So Warriors now trailing by 24 points to 26, though they're up inside Ulster's 22 and looking now through Sean Kennedy just to keep things going as they get up closer towards that 5-metre line. Kennedy again up in support there was number 4 Andrew Davidson. Kennedy back in possession of the ball once more, taken forward here. So 2 yellow cards, and in the bin just at the moment is a player in Grant Stewart, who of course featured for Scotland against Georgia within the last week. Kennedy, that coming off his opposite number there. Shanahan inside the 22 and within 3 metres of this Ulster try line. Kennedy now on to Davidson. Davidson's driving. Can Davidson ground the ball? Ulster doing extremely well defensively. Kennedy again just barking instructions to his right hand side. A pod of 3 is forming. Kennedy, is he going to just leave it for the players initially behind him? In support there is the ginger hair of Rob Harley as well. They're camped on this Ulster line. We've had 2 penalty tries, 1 apiece for each side, and as a consequence of the penalty try, a yellow card for both a Warriors player and an Ulster player. But it's Warriors looking to try and get themselves back in front here now. Brandon Thompson again. Brandon Thompson with the offload to the fullback Glenn Bryce, and Bryce is in for another score. And we had a feast of tries last weekend in Belfast in a 69-point game, but it's the Warriors who'll be back in front by 29 points to 26 with the kick to come, and it's Glenn Bryce, the latest try scorer.
We've seen it on a couple of occasions in the match, just the importance of that kickoff. If you don't secure the kickoff in Ulster's on Ulster's terms there, it was a great chase by Ratu Tangive at the start of the play. Just gives us great field position. The boys are on the front foot. You boys crashing onto the ball. We show good patience. Get close to the line, and then when we see Brandon get it out the back, there's a great fend, ability to just draw in that last defender. He held the ball and they managed to get a creative pass away to Glenn Bryce.
So Brandon Thompson again with the conversion attempt. He's had a decent afternoon. We talked about this just a little bit earlier on in the half, both in terms of his place kicking from hand and his kicking off the tee. Could this be a commentator's curse for the fly half for Glasgow Warriors? Not on this occasion. Another 2 points, 31 points to 26. So that penalty try certainly dampened some spirits in the home camp and lifted Ulster. But Ulster now trail once again by 5 points. But you feel they've plenty in their armoury to trouble Glasgow in what remains of this game. And the same can be said of the Warriors. And it's going to be Johnston again, Bill Johnston with the hoisted restart kick that will just be landing and taken on very well there by Ratu Tagivi, just on the edge of the 15 channel on that 22. Warriors again just looking to try and pluck the ball out through Sean Kennedy, plays it back and it's belted right footed downfield, where the Warriors have got players back down this right hand channel. Ulster again looking overhead. The sky is a little bit angry looking, but there's plenty of smiles on the Warriors' faces, and Ulster look fairly content with the efforts of their side so far in the game. Comes out towards this left hand side, and Faddis again taking the ball on there from Sean Reedy up towards the 22. Shanahan takes the ball in and taken on this time by Alan O'Connor. He's flattened just on the edge of the 22. Shanahan again on there towards Bill Johnston in open play. Shanahan picks up on the edge of the 22 once again, finds a teammate there who's tackled immediately by Warriors players rushing forward, and this time Tom O'Toole takes it inside the 22, the replacement prop. On now again towards Jordy Murphy, who was one of the players yellow carded for the penalty try that went the way of Warriors, and Grant Stewart was yellow carded for the penalty try that went the way of Ulster, and it's Ulster down this left hand side. They're left, the Warriors right, finding a bit of joy. Shanahan back in towards centre field again, coming crashing in. I think it was Kieran Treadwell there. Warriors play the exit ball downfield through hand. The referee Ben Blaine though is bringing play back inside the 22, so Warriors will have to do a bit more defensive work. An offside decision signalled there by Ben Blaine, and Ulster still have the upper hand in an attacking sense, but trail by 5 points. Warriors 31, Ulster 26. We're now well into the final quarter of this game.
Ulster are looking physical when they get into the 22 there. Big runners, aggressive carries. And I think, Glasgow are matching them for the most. But just when the relentless physicality there brings a penalty. Faddis, I think, has had a really good couple of his inclusions just in that last phase. And I think, is that Michael Lowry that's on in the headgear for Ulster? He's had a couple of nice touches since he's come on as well.
Lowry just occupying a position across on that right hand side. As we mentioned, we're just trying to spot the players from a distance here, a few of them without numbers, so just taking us a few minutes to establish sort of the who's who, as Shanahan just trying to guide his forwards closer towards that Glasgow line. Almost got his hands on it, does so now. Takes a few steps, measured run here coming in, and it's a 1-2 from Ulster with Faddis. I think a well-deserved try there for the outside centre, because he's worked extremely hard and I think thoroughly deserved to get Ulster back on level terms, and rightly his teammates come over to congratulate his efforts.
Some impressive footwork on the line there before he got the offload away.
And great play here from Addison, yeah.
Great footwork on the line. Glasgow will be disappointed defensively there, but there's a touch of class there, just the footwork, and then the ability to thread the offload away to Faddis, who's been impressive so far in the first 60 odd minutes of the match.
Bill Johnston then from in front of the sticks here to give Ulster a 2-point lead off the tee. Makes no mistake, 31 points to 33 then. So the last two meetings, just a reminder, competitively here at Scotstoun back in May, it finished Glasgow Warriors 50, Ulster 20. Last weekend in Belfast, in the reverse challenge fixture in this warm-up and a series of pre-season matches for these sides before the start of the Pro 14, it finished Ulster 50, Warriors 19, so almost a carbon copy of what happened in May. This occasion much closer, these sides really coming together and giving us a feast of tries here at Scotstoun this afternoon in this famous Grouse Challenge match between Glasgow Warriors and Ulster just have their noses in front by 33 points to 31. Matt Faddis, Stuart McCloskey with tries in the second half. Rob Little also scoring a try, that coming midway through the first half. Rob Herring opening the scoring for Ulster inside 5 minutes, and they've also been awarded a penalty try in the second period. And of course Glenn Bryce scoring a try for Glasgow a short time ago. Rory Hughes, Johnny Matthews also on the score sheet for the Warriors, a penalty try for them as well. 31 points to 33. Back to the action, and Sean Kennedy just a little offload there towards Paddy Kelly, one of two former Highland RFC players on the bench. The other is Bruce Flockart for Glasgow Warriors. Grant Stewart, of course, yellow carded, conceding that second penalty try, the one going the way of Ulster. So Warriors have been down a man on the exercise bike just down below us, as Johnny Matthews just keeping himself readied for perhaps getting back on in the closing stages of this game. Kennedy then tries to ship the ball out just short off the halfway line, as we watch Warriors just build some phases close towards that 10 metre line and up towards halfway. Kennedy again in the picture. Just underneath him there was the hard working Kieran Treadwell, who's done well both in tackling and in open play, trying to set up attacks for Ulster in this game. Again now Glenn Bryce, I think, is tumbled to the ground there, knocked to the ground, landing awkwardly on his left shoulder, but the Warriors try scorer back on his feet and back in position. Kennedy again, left-footed clearance downfield, and again scampering after that is Michael Lowry in that white scrum cap across on that right hand side, spotted by my co-commentator Lee Jones. Shanahan goes outstretched left arm, just trying to direct operations from the edge of his own 22. Warriors 31, Ulster 33, approaching the final 12 minutes of the contest. And Shanahan is asking for a little assistance there. Materi now comes forward. Shanahan with the box kick, but a height and distance on it as it flies over the halfway line, and nothing doing for Ratu Tagivi just on that left hand side. And Lee, it remains an intriguing match as we approach the final 10 minutes, and it's seesawed the way now of Ulster, but only by 2 points.
Yeah, an interesting long phase of play there. It started off with a good kick-off. Gavin Lowe's now on in what is a blank jersey, but he's in the 10 jersey. Great kick-off from him. Glasgow were able to counter, and as I mentioned in the first half, we were almost stuck in that middle third, but it was good to see Gav put boot to ball there, forcing Ulster to hack it out. We've managed to get a line out a wee bit further up the field.
And of course that's a debut for Gavin Lowe as well, as it's taken on there by the mop of hair, the distinctive Rory Jackson, who's coming on to that from a deeper line position there, is also on the field of play. I should say as well, a return for Grant Stewart, who spent his 10 minutes in the sin bin. A handling error there from Ulster. We've got another set play, a scrummage here on that staggered 10 metre line, and the clock showing we're into the final 10 minutes of this contest here at Scotstoun. Warriors 31, Ulster 33. So Ulster in front by 2 points, as Kennedy and Shanahan, who've played much of the second half, the replacement scrum halves. And another scrummage here for a much changed set of players involved. You know, no surprise that the front row was going to be replaced almost on the hour mark for both these sides, but it gives them a solid 20 minutes at least to try and pit their wits against some quality opposition.
Yeah, and I think the scrum was pretty strong in the first half from Glasgow, so these guys coming off the bench will be looking to, you know, keep the standard up there.
A referee for the contest, Ben Blaine, just directing operations as we get a good shot there of the scrummage. Of course, a little tweak in the scrummage in terms of the binding for the front row players, and that will perhaps prove significant in early stages, as Glasgow now trying to run it with a bit of pace and drive here. Kyle Stein again, Ratu Tagivi up in support there. Stein alongside him. Kennedy now is able to find teammates flying in at all angles here. Kennedy again just looking to use his options, with Lowe just operating as the new starting standoff, or the replacement standoff off the bench for the closing stages of the contest. Once again Kennedy just going in. I think he did brush the ball with his left hand. He's appealing his case. You could see he was going in just to scoop it up with the left hand. It would only knock it a fraction in front of him, but that was enough to get the signal from the referee. It was a knock on, and it's still Warriors 31, Ulster 33, and went into the final 8 minutes of this game here at Scotstoun.
I think the front row must have heard us there. It was a strong platform there for the scrum. Great to play off as a backline when you've got the full width of the pitch, and it was a really clean strike move from our backs. Managed to put Ratu in a bit of space on the edge, and then it gets us into our face shape. So makes a huge difference when you can get a solid scrum, get a clean backline play off of it, and then it just gets the boys onto the front foot and into our face shape. Unfortunate a wee knock on there, but the beginnings of it were really strong.
And Jamie Dobie also wearing number 9 I should say. You can see in the picture, in fact, just now he's playing the final few minutes. So the third scrum half that Warriors have used in the contest, he is the one player who has come on with number 9 on his back, and of course with a starting 9, so he's the only player to have a repeat number, we'll say, in this game. So of course Warriors started with Nick Frisbee, and then they went on to Sean Kennedy, and now back with a number 9, but it's a different jersey, a different number 9, and it is Jamie Dobie wearing the 9.
It's just a good job. Jamie's so young, he's easy to pick out. One of the young guys that's came into Glasgow over the summer, and so far going really well. So it's good to see him getting a wee bit of game time last week, and get the closing moments of this match as well.
One well in the line out there by Kieran McDonald as the Warriors look to go once more. Tagivi's able to pick up that loose ball, but again Warriors' hands not securing possession. The knock-on signal by the referee, and they'll come back for a set play just again close between the halfway line and that 10 metre line. Again, Warriors and Ulster, credit to these players coming off the bench, looking, in fits and starts to play well individually, but to try and keep a cohesion and a balance to the team as well. And it's certainly made for, I would think, a pretty entertaining contest all around for the spectators coming here. It would be difficult to know what they'd expect, given that the last two matches between these sides have been very one-sided.
Yeah, I think it's probably given the last 5-10 minutes of the match, it's probably the number of substitutes is contributing to that, and it's hard to maintain consistency. If Glasgow can do that, then hopefully they can get the upper hand going into the last 5 minutes.
And it's Ulster just at the moment, outstretched right hand there from one of their try scorers, Matt Faddis. Solid challenge comes in. Shanahan's looking for the ball to be playable there. The referee just brings play to a halt, signalling in fact a Ulster knock on there. But a solid challenge. Last to his feet was one of the supporting cast in that move, Jordy Murphy, who certainly put himself about in the second half since coming into the contest. And one of the Glasgow players there is Rory Jackson. I think had a bit of a shave in recent times. He did sport the moustache for a long time now, but he's adopting a slightly different look, but a very distinctive mop of hair as well. Can pick him out a mile away.
And he's just shifted it up to the top of his head now. Doing his job well there, closing the gate defensively. Just looked like he took a bit of a knock.
Like a HIE for him. Yeah, they're real coming together with Faddis and Rory Jackson, and he's just been taken down the tunnel here. All care and attention given to these players, but it has been a pretty full throttle contest. The commitment has been there, no question, but it's one of these games where you can see the returning Glenn Bryce just appearing at the bottom of your picture for what remains of this contest. Jamie Dobie as well, this ball tucked under his right hand, an arm there. They'll look to try and ensure that Warriors win ball from this scrum. And then just pops the ball into the set play, just gets it out the corner. Shanahan was up in support there. Good work from Kyle Stein, really playing as first receiver. Warriors carry it up and over at a halfway line, showing plenty of strength and determination here, as again they're looking to recycle with a great deal of purpose. On now Dobie once more. The Warriors again, solid offload, solid turn and drive. Better play there from the Warriors, led by Bruce Flockart, one of these two Highland RFC players that we mentioned coming on. Paddy Kelly was the other one in this second half. Dobie again measures the pass in towards Adam Nicholl. He's tackled. Another offside decision has been given as Ulster just beginning to perhaps just lose their positioning on the field, and providing Warriors with the opportunity that you've been calling for here, Lee. They don't want to give up an opportunity like this, and equally Ulster will want to be solid defensively right to the end and protect this 2-point advantage. Yeah,
another strong scrum on the right hand side allowed a good backline play. Nick Grigg recognised that Gavlo was running a bit laterally, came underneath, and he's hard to stop. And then a couple of quick picks from the forwards. It was good to see Bruce Flockart involved there. He's worked hard to come back from a lengthy injury, and he's a great athlete, so it's good to see him on the ball and beating defenders.
Ball one towards the back of that line, and it's a much changed forward pack here as the Warriors are driving as a collective right in the thick of the action. You can see now the ball is going to be grounded successfully, and the Warriors with 2.5 minutes left off the game are back in front by 36 points to 33. We'll try and pick out the try scorer. It looks as if it is Adam Nicholl who's grounded the ball there. Nicholl, the latest try scorer. He seemed to have control of the ball at this junction in the attack. Here you can see him beginning to splinter away, and he's just managed to ground it as the ball crosses the line, and he crosses the line with it safely down. 36-33. Is that going to be the winning score?
Great to see Adam Nicholl steal the hooker's role there and get across for a try, the driving maul. Again, I think that puts Glasgow one up there. Going into the tail end of this match, it's great to see Glasgow, you'd like to think, find a way to win. A couple of good platforms, front football, boys carrying hard, and an effective driving maul. Adam Nicholl's done well there to ground it as well as he goes through.
Conversion attempt just wide of the uprights there from a fairly acute angle. So we've got 3 points separating the sides, and we've got about 90 seconds of this contest left to play. Have Ulster going to have a final say in the outcome of this game? much changed sides from last weekend. We mentioned that 9 changes in the Warriors side. We've picked out 12 of the players in the squad did not feature last weekend. They're trying to make a contribution now. Paddy Kelly taking the ball up towards the halfway line. Dobie again just trying to direct operations. A young player with a bright future, you'd imagine. And there he goes, just a glance towards the referee, and it's all about now the Warriors trying to protect possession of the ball and see out this final minute of the contest. The clock showing we've just less than a minute of this game left to play. 50 seconds left. Ulster desperate to try and win back possession and keep the ball playable and in play. Not surprisingly, they've made a real contribution to this game, no question about it. Tries coming thick and fast during the first and the second half, and a penalty try for both these sides during the course of the near 80 minutes. 30 seconds of the contest left to play. Warriors looking at their forwards, and Dobie as the scrum half, just to ensure that they can see themselves over the line here. And right in the thick of the action, Rob Harley will play the game to a finish, and his experience is going to be so important. So too Grant Stewart just going in there, protecting possession of the ball. Warriors again forming a pod. Scampering around it there was Will Addison, and Addison just backs away as once more a pod of 3 is formed just short of that 10-metre line. The clock goes red, the ball is thumped into the stand below us. The Warriors players congratulate each other, but all credit to Ulster as well, making this a thoroughly enjoyable contest here. The Warriors then, having leaked 8 tries last weekend, are preparing for their opening match in South Africa at the end of September before hosting the Scarlets here on the 4th of October. But just a reminder, Glenn Bryce on the score sheet, Rory Hughes also on the score sheet, a try as well for a delighted starting hooker Johnny Matthews, and a penalty try as well. Adam Nicholl finishing off with the match winning score just a few minutes before the end. But Ulster, how they made a contribution to this game as well. Matt Farris and Stuart McCloskey, the 2 centres, Rob Little, the starting left winger, they all scored tries in the match. They had a penalty try and also got things started in the opening 5 minutes with their hooker Rob Herring scoring a try from close range. A thoroughly entertaining game in the end, ending in a victory for the Warriors by just a margin of 3 points. Warriors 36, Ulster 33.
Enter today's code, which is first bus, all in caps, all one word. That's first bus, and that will book your free bus ticket home.
So Lee, let's have a little look back at some of the action here. This coming inside the opening 5 minutes. You see the throw in from Rob Herring, and there he is. By this stage he's managed to win possession of the ball and dart over and give Ulster a lead with just 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, the forwards coaches and the line-out coaches from both sides will have a lot to pick through after this game, probably good and bad on either side.
Good solid tackle there from Rory Hughes, and the ball was spilled, and Nick Frisbee thought he was away for a quick reply. You can see there as well, this was just after Rob Little had scored a second try for Ulster. This was the penalty try awarded to Glasgow, and this led to the yellow card for Jordy Murphy. The referee just going underneath the post there, just out of shot for that penalty score. Then this was Hugh Jones on towards Rory Hughes for the try that levelled the game.
Yeah, clinical finish. At times I thought Glasgow were really clinical, using the ball well, attracting defenders, making the right decisions, and that was evidence of that there.
Now the Warriors went in at half-time leading by 17 points to 12 into the second half, and this was the early stages. Stuart McCloskey showing a nice sort of upper body strength, but a spin on, leaning onto his left hand side, and from 6 metres out was able just to close out that move. There's Johnny Matthews in possession of the ball there, tucked under his right arm. The drive, the supporting cast allowing Matthews, the ex-Boroughmuir player, and how he liked that moment. This was a real introduction to the professional game for Matthews. Sean Kennedy then trying to direct operations from close range. Then good just delayed pass here from Brandon Thompson out towards Glenn Bryce, and the fullback was in for a try. At that stage Ulster had a 2-point advantage. Shanahan back in field, good work as well there from Will Addison, and this was the Matt Faddis try, a well-deserved score to bring Ulster back level terms. They converted to take a 33-31 lead, and then of course we had the Adam Nichols score right at the end, which we'll see now. And as you mentioned, Lee, he certainly took on some hooking duties here as he joined the group of forward players, and there he is beginning to break up and break through the Ulster defence to score the match-winning try.
Yeah, Grant Stewart, just the cheerleader there. They didn't need him. Adam quite rightly held on to the ball there as the maul splintered and they managed to get across. As I said, it was great to see Glasgow find a way to win the match, to get over for that last score. And then Ulster, obviously they go on the restart looking to win the ball back. Paddy Kelly fully committed, won that one possession back with a minute and a half to play, and I thought Jamie Dobie in the closing parts of the game, it'll be a great experience for him. He managed to shepherd his forwards, he managed to wind the clock down and eventually boot it into the stand, which gave us the win. I think across the whole piece of the game there'll be loads to look through for the coaches on both sides going into the season, but the most important thing for Glasgow was we managed to find a way to win the match, and that's something that we can take on into the start of the season.
Warriors 36, Ulster 33 then, and a decent crowd coming to Scotstoun this Saturday afternoon, very autumnal. The wind certainly played a part, and it was a factor in the game both in the first and the second half. But after these sides have served up two very one-sided contests in recent times, it was far from that at Scotstoun today. The Warriors, through that late Adam Nichols try, snatching the win, and in this famous grouse challenge match between these sides, they've certainly made it a very entertaining Saturday afternoon for the crowd that have made it here. A combined 69 points scored between these sides as they move ever closer to the start of the Pro 14 campaigns. Remember, the Warriors are in South Africa to take on the Cheetahs before they have their opening match here at Scotstoun on the 4th of October against the Scarlets, while of course the Ulster side, who scored 8 tries last weekend and just lost narrowly this afternoon, have the Ospreys as their first opponents on Friday the 27th of September. We thank you for your interest and your support this afternoon, watching our live coverage here at Scotstoun Stadium as the Warriors prepare for the start of a new campaign with a narrow victory over Ulster. And a reminder of the final score as you see on the screen in this famous Grouse pre-season challenge: Glasgow Warriors 36, Ulster 33.